The Beauty and the Monster by Stéphanie-Félicité DE GENLIS. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Beauty and the Monster, a comedy. The persons: Sabina,
read by Kristin G.
Phanor,
read by David Olson.
a genius. Phedima,
read by Michaela.
friend of Sabina, narrated by Mary Kay. The scene is in the palace of the genius. Act 1. Phanor appears, holding Sabina by her robe, while she seems to fly from him, turning away her head with horror.
Ah, Sabina, stay, I pray you, one instant. Deign to hear me but a moment.
Let me go! Let me go!
If you command me, I obey. Your least desires are supreme laws for the unfortunate Phanor, but when he presumes for the first time to beg a moment's conversations, will you have the cruelty to refuse?
Sabina, aside.
Unfortunate Phanor! How I pity him!
Phanor, letting go of Sabina's robe.
Sabina, you are free. I wish not to owe anything to violence. You may still fly me, if you please.
Sabina, still turning away her head.
But what have you to say to me?
Oh, heavens! You tremble. My hideous aspect must inspire you with aversion, Sabina. You may hate me, but alas, wherefore should you dread me?
I do not hate you.
Well, then, my wishes are gratified. The happiness of being beloved is not for me. I do not pretend to it, but learn, however, that this horrid figure which you dare not look on conceals a feeling, delicate and faithful heart.
Sabina, aside.
How affecting his voice! Wherefore must...
She looks at him and screams with fright.
Oh, heavens!
She takes some steps to fly from him. Phanor, wishing to stop her.
Ah, Sabina, calm your fears.
In the name of heaven, let me go!
She escapes.
I began to soften her. Her soul was opening to compassion, but a look, a single look, has undone all. And can I still continue to hope? Cruel fairy, thou enjoyest the excess of my sorrow. Thy power, superior to mine, has hitherto condemned me to support life under this hideous form, and I cannot resume my original figure, but by making myself beloved, and in this frightful shape gaining a heart which has been hitherto insensible. Ah, Sabina, if you knew my secret, or if I was permitted to tell it! But the fatal oracle forbids. Alas, how unhappy am I, and the greatest, most cruel part of my sufferings is loving as no one ever loved before.
He sinks upon a chair, oppressed by grief. Phedima, without being perceived.
Sabina told me he was here. Ha! He is so.
Phanor, raising himself up.
Oh, Phedima, what is Sabina doing?
I come from her to tell you that she is exceedingly afflicted at having left you in the hasty, rude manner she did.
And why did she not come and tell me so herself?
Is that your complaisance to me?
Phedima, I beg your pardon. I perfectly know how much I am indebted to you. Alas, if it was not for you, what would become of me?
Come, come, I forgive you. I have no resentment, and to prove it to you, I must tell you that the short conversation you have just had with Sabina has worked wonders.
How can I think so, after the proofs of aversion she has showed at quitting me?
But she is sorry for it. Is not that a great deal?
But she never can get the better of the dread she has in looking at me.
Only think. It is but 8 days since you carried us off. And, to speak plain, I must say that more than 8 days are necessary to be reconciled to your figure. If you had not admitted me into your confidence and won me to your interest a long time before you brought us hither, though I am not so timid as Sabina, I believe I should not have had courage to look at you this moment.
You have been the friend of Sabina from her infancy. You are acquainted with her heart and her sentiments. Tell me then sincerely, charming Phedima, do you think at present that the hopes you have sometimes given me are not absolutely chimerical?
At this rate I must always repeat the same thing to you. Well then, Sabina has sensibility, a delicate understanding, and a grateful heart. Merit and virtue must make deep impressions on a temper such as hers, and you have everything to hope from time.
But notwithstanding the entertainments and pleasures I procure for her, she seems to be dissatisfied in this palace.
She is delighted, however, in being in it. An orphan and tyrannized over by cruel and unjust relations, she was about to be sacrificed to their ambition, when fortunately you came and carried us off.
Sabina was going to be united with a person who was not worthy of her, and whom she did not esteem. But alas, perhaps, since she has seen me, she regrets the loss of him.
You may rest assured that she every instant rejoices at the happiness of having escaped, and yet the object of her hatred possessed all the charms of the most seducing figure. But he was deficient in understanding, and more so in delicacy. He is an ignorant rustic, without one promising quality, and Sabina thought him hateful.
You know, Phedima, what are the reasons of my attachment to Sabina. It was not the charms of her person which produced that sentiment so deeply impressioned upon my mind. O happy day, never absent from my thoughts, when by my art, invisible to human eyes, I stopped in that meadow where the young companions of Sabina were celebrating her birthday. Melancholy had overspread the countenance of your friend, which at first struck me and melted me into compassion. She withdrew from the crowd, and, with you only, sat down at the foot of a palm tree, while she disclosed her mind to you.
And you heard our discourse?
I did not lose a single word. Sabina lamented her fate, and the ill-suited match to which her friends obliged her to consent. Alas, said she, the authors of my being are now no more. An unhappy orphan, I no longer depend but upon relations who are insensible to my prayers and tears. Young and without experience, I ought to respect their authority, and the first duty of my age is obedience. I have lost the guides given me by nature, and the law has assigned others to whom I must submit. If they abuse their power, there will be more to be pitied than I. I shall become their victim, but I shall have done my duty, and surely there are no sorrows, but must find comfort in conscious virtue and innocence.
Sabina said all this?
But in a manner 1,000 times more affecting. A deluge of tears rushed down her cheeks.
Yes, I recollect she was in tears.
She then remained some time silent.
I admire your memory, for in short it is 2 long months since that conversation, and you remember the smallest circumstances, even the palm tree.
Ah, that palm tree! I think I see it still. It supported Sabina's head. Sabina's hair touched its bark.
And against what tree did I lean?
In the whole meadow I saw but one palm tree.
Oh, now you are in fault. Let us try again. What did I say to Sabina?
Nothing, I believe.
Nothing? Pass 2 hours with Sabina and not answer her? But hush, I hear a noise. Somebody comes. 'Tis she.
It is Sabina. I leave you.
Yes, for a moment, but don't go to a distance. I shall call you back presently.
Remember, Phedima, that I have deposited the dearest interests of my life in your hands. Farewell. I see Sabina.
He goes out. Phedima, alone.
Poor Phanor! How affecting his discourse, his goodness, his benevolence, and understanding should make his deformity be forgotten.
Sabina, entering in deep thought.
Such virtue deserves another fate.
Sabina!
I did not observe you, Phedima.
You are very pensive, deeply engaged.
Yes, I have reason to be so. I was thinking of Phanor.
Well, what then?
Phedima, we have been 8 days in this palace. Until now we did not know whose it is.
This palace belongs to Phanor.
Hear me. I just now, for the first time, walked out of the pavilion in which we live, and which is parted from the rest of this vast palace by a large garden. After having crossed it, I found myself in an immense gallery. Judge of my surprise, when I saw a prodigious crowd of men, women, and children, all different clothed.
Probably they are subjects of the genius.
No, I inquired, and am informed that they are only travellers.
How, travellers?
We did not take notice, Phedima, of the affecting inscription which Phanor has caused to be engraved over the gate of this palace. The gate is always open, and you may read over it. to all the unhappy.
Oh, all is explained then.
If it had not been by chance, I should still have been ignorant of the sacred asylum in which we live. Phanor would never have informed us.
Sabina, you were in tears.
I do not desire to prevent it. Ah, Phanor, unhappy Phanor, heaven has been unkind to you.
Must heaven grant every gift? Phanor has been favored with virtue and understanding.
But that hideous figure!
Sabina, ask the unfortunate inhabitants of this palace if that figure which is so disgusting to you prevents them from loving Phanor.
They ought to love him. Gratitude should oblige them.
And you, do you owe nothing to Phanor? He secures the unfortunate because he pities them. Your misfortunes likewise drew his attention, and he carried you off that he might rescue you from cruel violence. In short, in becoming acquainted with your virtue, he attaches himself to you, and you cannot love him.
Alas, I love him when I do not see him.
Such a manner of loving is quite captivating. If he had no other attachment to you but one of those contemptible whims, founded solely on your exterior charms, you would do right to say to him, "My figure pleases you, and I am sorry for it, because yours is so frightful to me." He then could not reply. But it is your understanding that pleases him, your disposition which has captivated him. If you were ugly, he would still love you.
Ah, if he were only ugly!
In fact, he possesses all those qualities by which you have charmed him, but you are insensible to them.
Insensible? No, I am not. But I never can accustom myself to look at him.
I conceive that at first he terrifies, but when his goodness and gentle temper are known, is it possible to fear him? Besides, though it be true that his figure is very singular, yet I have seen some more disgusting. He does himself justice at least. He is not a fool.
A fool? How silly you are!
Why should not he be like many others who are scarce more favoured by nature?
You was with him just now. What did he say to you?
That you are the cause of his unhappiness?
That is a great unhappiness to me.
I am certain he is not far off.
Do you think so?
Shall I call him?
I dare not.
Come, come, how childish.
I think I hear him.
Yes, it is he. Sabina, you turn pale?
No, no, 'tis nothing. Phedima, do not leave me.
Here he comes. I pray you, constrain yourself, and remain for a moment.
Sabina goes to the opposite side. Phanor, approaching gently.
She is going to fly from me again.
Phanor, I was going in search of you.
I thought I heard my name pronounced, and
You tremble and are speechless.
I am indeed.
Phedima, looking attentively at Sabina and Phanor.
This outside promises well. The conversation will be spirited.
To Sabina.
If I constrain you, I will withdraw.
Sabina, holding her.
Ah, Phedima!
Sabina, say, would you have me retire?
No, do not go away.
Shall we have some entertainment today?
I await Sabina's commands.
I have been just now enjoying the greatest pleasure I have tasted in this palace. You have hitherto deprived me of it, Phanor. I must complain.
Of what?
Can there be a more pleasing entertainment than to see benevolence afflicting the unhappy, and to hear gratitude applauding virtue?
Can there be happiness comparable with that of being approved by Sabina?
By those we love.
Phedima explains what I dare not.
Phanor, you are too timid.
Ah, Sabina.
Well, why so silent, Phanor?
What, Sabina? Do my ears deceive me? My sentiments are not hateful to you. You allow me then to take the liberty of declaring them?
Let me never be accused of ingratitude.
Alas, I accuse only my unhappy fate.
Now we are fallen back to our former sadness.
Low to Sabina.
Speak to him. Come, make an effort. At least look at him.
Oh, heavens! What do you say, Phedima? No, Sabina, do not look at me. I shall lose all my happiness.
Sabina, who looks at him with timidity, and then upon the ground.
You see, Phanor, that you are unjust.
Ah, may you still prove it to me.
He approaches towards Sabina. She starts and takes some steps to fly from him. He draws back, and Sabina remains motionless. Phedima, after a short silence.
They are both astonished. Well, Phanor, I, who have no dread of you, desire that you will give me your arm, and conduct me to the play. You promised me an entertainment, and positively I must have it. Come along.
Sabina, you may follow your friend without fear. I shall remain here.
By no means. You must do the honours of the entertainment. For my part, I insist upon it. You carried me off as well as Sabina. I was as unhappy as she, so that I have the same title to your complaisance. Besides, I think I deserve some little preference. You do not appear handsome in my eyes, but I think you truly amiable.
She takes hold of his arm.
Sabina, will you come with us? Why don't you answer? Oh, you are in the pouts.
Sabina aside.
How she teases me.
Adieu, Sabina.
Sabina vexed.
Since I incommode you, I pray you go, Phedima. Go, Phanor.
Phanor, quitting Phedima's arm.
Oh, heaven! Sabina, can you believe it?
What means this? I never saw you in these whims before. Come, come, what is here to do? Will you go to the play? For my part, I will not lose it to your fancy.
Yes, I will go, if Phanor will go too.
Ah, Sabina, I am too sensible of the value of such goodness, but to profit by it would be perhaps to abuse it. Pardon me, I can see into your heart. Though I have done nothing for you, yet you imagine you owe me gratitude. You strive to combat the just dread which my countenance inspires. But I suffer much more from your uneasiness than my own, and I cannot endure the constraint you impose upon yourself. You reign here. You are the only sovereign of this palace. Rule over all in it, and fly me. If you are free and content, Phanor will be too happy.
Thou most generous of men, how contemptible should I be in my own eyes, if from henceforth I could look upon you with uneasiness. No, Phanor, gratitude can never be a painful duty to the heart of Sabina.
Very well, let us be gone. We will finish this conversation at the play.
She takes Phanor by the arm.
Sabina, if you want a conductor, Phanor can.
Oh, heavens! Take care what you say.
Sabina looking at Phanor with timidity, but without terror.
Phanor, will you give me your arm?
Ah, if you pity me, if you are concerned for me, I repeat it to you, I presume to beg. Sabina, you will not constrain yourself upon my account.
Sabina taking him by the arm.
Well, I obey you. It is without struggle or constraint.
Ah, Sabina, would to heaven you could read what passes in my heart.
You will give us an account of that at the play. Come, let us go.
Aside and going out.
Thank heaven, Sabina begins to reconcile to him.
End of Act 1. Act 2 of The Beauty and the Monster by Stéphanie-Félicité DE GENLIS. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2.
You must allow that it is impossible to be more pleasing, more interesting.
I shall never recover from my surprise. I could not have thought it possible for me to have accustomed myself to his figure.
That is quite natural. You would not hear him. You could not therefore know either the excellence of his disposition or the charms of his conversation.
He has such goodness, such delicacy. He has even something very agreeable in his manner. How affecting the sound of his voice!
So then you are no longer afraid?
I esteem him too much to fear him, but that concern with which he inspires me makes me feel something sad and painful which I cannot describe. Yesterday I had only that compassion for him which is due to the unfortunate, and I was grieved for his hard fate. But that pity did not occasion the melancholy which engrosses all my thoughts at present. I think of him in spite of me, and I cannot think of him but with inexpressible sorrow.
This is very extraordinary. Yesterday he has much to be pitied, and today that you behave well to him he is satisfied. Why then does your pity increase when his sorrows are lessened?
There is an idea presents itself incessantly to my imagination, and torments me. It is impossible to see him for the first time without astonishment and terror.
Well, what is it to him, if you have entirely got the better of that first impression?
I wish to have justice done him. I am grieved to think that the aspect of such a virtuous benevolent being should inspire more dread and terror than the fight of one of those savage animals, in whom a blind ferocity is their sole instinct. This is a dreadful idea, and I cannot think of it without shuddering.
But if you determine to remain in this palace, Phanor will never leave it. He will see you only, and for your sake will renounce all the world.
I do not yet know what my destiny may be. I do not know, Phedima, whether I ought to accept for life the asylum that is afforded us in this place.
If you leave it, what will become of you?
I do not know, but it must be friendship, and not necessity, that can make me determined to remain here.
But will Phanor consent to separate himself from you?
Phanor is too generous to make any attempt upon our liberty.
For my part, I find myself so well here that I am greatly inclined to remain.
What, Phedima, without me?
I shall remain to console Phanor.
Console him?
I have sensibility. He is grateful. My friendship will atone for your ingratitude, and in this manner, my dear Sabina, I shall make amends for your injustice, so you need not constrain yourself.
How different are our tempers, Phedima! Everything affords you a subject of raillery.
By no means. I do not rally.
I thought you did. Let us break off this conversation.
Aside.
I do not know what is the matter with me. I find myself out of humour.
You seem thoughtful.
Very true, I am so.
Do you wish to be alone?
Just as you please.
Adieu till evening, Sabina.
Where are you going?
For my part, I am not thoughtful. I love to chat. I'll go and find Phanor.
As you think proper. But I hope you will not acquaint him with the conversation we have had just now.
Oh, I am discreet. I promise you I will not mention it.
That is all I desire. But what will you say to him then?
You are very curious.
What? Is it a mystery?
Perhaps.
Oh, I have no desire to discover it, I assure you.
If that is the case, I shall be silent.
Sabina, aside.
I can hold no longer.
Farewell, Sabina. When your reverie is over, you will call me.
Aside.
I will now go to Phanor and give him some useful advice.
She goes out. Sabina alone, after a short silence.
I could restrain myself no longer. I am glad she is gone. And is this Phedima? Is this the friend which was always so ready to sacrifice everything to my happiness? What an astonishing change! It seems she prefers Phanor to me. I feel myself quite oppressed.
She sits down.
My heart is filled with bitter affliction, and I cannot myself unravel what passes there. I really do not know. Yes, I will leave this palace. Phedima may remain without me, but to-morrow, perhaps this very day, I withdraw from hence, never to return. Phedima will console Phanor. They will both forget me, and after all, I shall be the only one to be pitied. Alas, I deserved another fate. I deserved other friends. I have known misfortune, but I never suffered what I endure at present. I am frightened at the thought of it. Somebody comes. Oh, heaven! 'Tis Phanor!
She falls back upon a chair. Phanor, aside.
I will follow Phedima's advice, and see what effect pity can have upon a heart of such sensibility.
He makes some steps forward and stops.
Sabina, will you give me leave to approach?
Sabina, rising.
Yes. Come, Phanor. I want to speak with you a moment.
What have you to say to me, Sabina? What are your commands?
Sabina, aside.
I cannot speak to him. I feel myself abashed.
Aloud.
Phanor, I am afraid to distress you. There is a question I dare not ask.
Would to heaven I could divine what you wish, Sabina. Your desires should be prevented.
I am attached to you by the sincerest gratitude, but after all I cannot promise you I will always remain in this palace. Phanor, will you leave me at liberty to quit it?
I understand you, and I will not complain of the severe destiny which I see awaits me. This palace, open to the unhappy, is an asylum, not a prison. You are not only at liberty, but you reign in it. I am nothing here but an unfortunate wretch, submissive to whatever laws you please to dictate, and ready to banish myself from hence for your satisfaction. But I beg at least you will do justice to my sentiments, and not consider me either as a traitor or a ravisher.
You? A tyrant? You, Phanor? Oh, heaven! Do you think me capable of entertaining the least doubt of your generosity? Alas! I may be at variance with myself, I may be inconsistent and irresolute, but no, Phanor, I never can be unjust to you.
Know then, all my soul, I am but too sensible of the effect which my presence must produce. I know the invincible obstacle which a dreadful deformity opposes to my happiness. I never entertained a foolish hope of its being in my power to please you and engage you to unite your destiny to mine. I have merited your esteem, that is sufficient, and after having obtained the only good that I could presume to expect, I ought to forget myself and think only of you.
You terrify me. To what does this discourse lead? Phanor, what is your purpose?
To make you absolute mistress of your destiny, and to free you forever from what can either constrain or displease you. Receive this box. It contains a precious ring, by putting which upon your finger you will find yourself transported to whatever place you choose, and there, by the power of this same ring, everything you wish will be realized. Palaces, gardens, containing whatever is most beautiful in art or nature, of which you will be the sole mistress.
Take back your gifts, and deign to allow me to remain with you.
No, do not despise the last homage of so sincere a passion. Farewell, Sabina. Think sometimes on the unhappy Phanor.
He goes out. Sabina alone.
Stop! Stop! He escapes from me. Phanor! Phanor! I call in vain. Oh, heavens! A secret terror freezes my senses, and renders me motionless. His last homage! What means that mysterious expression? What did he intend to say? I shudder. Some confused ideas have suddenly started to disturb my brain. Perhaps this box which he has left in spite of me contains an explanation of those foreboding words which upsets me. I dare not open it.
She lays it on the table.
Ah, let me run to find Phanor. He alone can save me from this distress.
Sabina, where are you running?
Ah, Phedima, have you seen Phanor?
I have just left him.
Well then.
I know what present he has made you, and I come to ask what use you intend to make of it. I met Phanor distracted, out of his mind. The wildness of his manner frightened me. I wanted to speak with him. He shunned me. He fled from me and quitted the palace, and bidding me a sorrowful adieu.
What do I hear? Oh, heavens! He has left the palace? Where is he?
How do I know?
A thought strikes me. With that ring which he left me, I can transport myself to wherever he is, and there I wish to be.
She takes the box and opens it.
Here is the ring. But what is this I see? Writing?
The writing will inform you of his destiny.
Ah, Phedima, I tremble.
Come, read.
Alas, what am I to learn from this?
She reads aloud.
I wish to free you from a hateful object. I know that my presence must be disagreeable to you, and I cannot endure life absent from you. I therefore renounce it without reluctance. Farewell, Sabina. Receive the last adieu of the faithful and affectionate Phanor.
Sabina, having read it.
Oh, I die!
She faints in the arms of Phedima.
Oh, heavens, what do I see? Sabina! Sabina!
He is no more. Leave me, Phedima. Your cares are in vain. Life is hateful. And last, when too late, I find my heart. Oh, Phanor, I have dug your grave and my own. The wretched Sabina will immediately follow you. Yes, Phanor, I loved you. I cannot exist without you.
While she pronounces these last words, soft music is heard behind the stage.
What do I hear?
The music continues. The scene changes, and Phanor appears at the bottom, in his proper figure, seated on a throne of flowers.
Where am I? What object is this I see?
Phanor, running to throw himself at the feet of Sabina.
Ah, Sabina, my dear Sabina, recollect Phanor by the excess of his tenderness.
Phanor! Oh, heavens!
The oracle is fulfilled. I resume my original form, and it is to Sabina I owe my life and happiness.
Ah, Phanor, how pleasant to dedicate our life to him for whom we would sacrifice it.
What a happy day!
My dear Phedima, you increased our happiness by sharing it.
And I, what do I not owe her?
Be always happy, and all my wishes will be gratified.
She addresses herself to the audience.
Ye feeling, virtuous hearts, never complain of your fate, and may this example teach you to know that goodness and benevolence are the surest means of pleasing, and the only claims to love.
Finn. End of Act 2. End of The Beauty and the Monster by Stéphanie-Félicité DE GENLIS.